Welcome to another episode of Industrial Amputation, where you can always expect the unexpected. Charles Levi is out this week. He had a little bit of an emergency and needed to not be here. So we do apologize. He sends his love, and he will be back next week. Today, we welcome Chicago-based saxophonist and multi-instrumentalist from Bile and Pigface and more project credits than you can shake a stick at, Mr. Roger Ebner. Welcome, Roger. It's an honor to finally meet you. For
Roger.
me and Joey, I know you and Levi have a long history. He's been chomping at the bit to get you here and is very disappointed that he's not going to be here today. So,
Yeah, I miss him. Maybe we can do another one when he's feeling better.
absolutely.
Let's see why
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's probably more to tell than we have.
You've got a long history, and yeah, I don't think one show is going to be sufficient to dig into the Roger story. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
I can
lot
see you
to
definitely
unpack
coming
there.
back.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Excellent. Right on, man. Joey, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, I guess I'll just start with the basic. Roger, what is it about the saxophone that drew you to it?
Well, um, I just got the dates and times on where I got started from a conversation with my mom. She's like 89 years old and she lives in Kansas, and her name is Dorothy. So uh, we were living in,
Dorothy.
yeah, Dorothy from Kansas. Hi, Mom. Yeah, so we were living in Stillwater, Oklahoma. My dad was teaching at the university there, and I started out. My mom had me sitting on her lap at 5 years old, teaching me basic keyboard theory,
Oh, wow.
and then she saw that she needed to get some additional help, to further my very beginning knowledge of music.
Yeah.
And so I went into piano lessons for about a year. And at 6 or 7, somewhere around there, um, I performed my first recital, and I played the
Wow.
required uh, piece on the piano. All the other kids and teachers were there in the living room, and
Yeah.
I turned around to the audience and said, "And now I'm going to play one of my own compositions."
Ah,
So,
how did that go over? They,
well,
they
my
dig it?
mom was shocked because it was um, uh, we kept it a real good secret.
Oh, nice.
So that's really what got things started. And then when I was in 6th grade, I think that puts me at about 8.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I was beginning 6th grade band, and my dad wanted me to play trumpet because he was really into Doc Severinsen at the time, Johnny
Yeah.
Carson, Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And so um, I'm sitting there in band, and I've got the student cornet, and this new kid comes in with a brand new Yamaha shiny alto saxophone,
Wow.
and I heard the tone on it, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was bitten to the core,
Yeah.
and I went home and uh, asked my mom. I said, "Have you heard of this beautiful instrument called a saxophone?" And she knew that it was all over, and I was not going to be a trumpet player. So she went through the want ads in the local newspaper at that time, found an old alto sax that some farmer about 30 miles south of town was trying to sell. And she
Nice.
drove down there, bought it, took it to a repair guy, had it tuned up, and gave it to me, and that was it.
Right on, man. Yeah, and you're in some esteemed company too. I mean, like Bowie plays sax, played
Yeah.
sax, and I don't know. I love
Trent
brass.
Reznor.
Yeah, Trent Reznor does too. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
we've got some pretty impressive saxists out there. You being among them. I've always loved the brass sections in funk. Did you
Oh
have
yeah.
any inspirations, or have you found any inspiration in anything like that?
Well, George Clinton, the
Yeah,
horn sections and his stuff. Uh, what's the guy's name? Uh, his last name is Brown. He did
Clarence
that
Brown.
go-go.
Clarence Brown.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was out of D.C. The go-go sort of movement,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of a combination of uh, South American rhythm, Cuban rhythm with blues
Yeah,
rhythm, and then they've got it's all geared up for four on the floor to get people
yeah,
dancing. So that's also an influence. And then I play my saxophone through guitar pedal effects.
Nice.
oh wow.
So
Oh wow.
yeah, so I have other influences that maybe most not a lot of other saxophonists say John Coltrane, Miles
Yeah,
Davis, which are always there for anybody who's serious about any kind of horn work.
yeah.
But
I can see you've got
I
him on
was
your
also,
music stand. Yeah.
yeah, and I also put uh, like Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton on the same level as
Yeah.
Miles and John Coltrane as far as influences.
Oh, nice.
So, I play the sax, but sometimes it's all tricked out and it sounds, well, it doesn't sound like a sax.
Yeah,
You can still, it may sound more like a guitar, especially when I put distortion on it.
yeah. Well, if you
So,
were playing with James Brown, it wouldn't be a sax at all. It'd just be another drum.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you did have a mentor that helped you in your music career, Tim Price, multi-instrumentalist Tim Price. Can you tell us a little about him?
Yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago, actually, due
Yeah.
Sorry.
to stage 4 brain cancer.
Oh man.
Ugh.
And, I hung with him to the very end. I mean, my last lesson with him was in June of 2021, I think.
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
No, 2022. And he passed in um, July
Oh
of
wow.
2022.
Rest in
So,
peace, Tim.
Yes.
but Tim and I have been I found him from an ad in a journal called Saxophone Journal, and he was writing articles, and I was reading some of his stuff,
Yeah.
and I found out that in the ad he said that he would do correspondence lessons with students. So we started like in 85, 86.
Yeah.
And he would send me, the paperwork with the lessons written out and a cassette tape. On the A side, he would give his instructions on the cassette tape. And then on the B side, I would play my response, record my
Oh, right
response on
on.
the saxophone and mail the tape to him. We did that for quite a long time.
Wow.
Um, and he studied with Charlie Mariano uh, at Berkeley,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
he studied with a bunch of other guys too. But Charlie is significant because Charlie Mariano was into Indian classical music and playing that type of motif on his alto sax.
Oh, wow.
So, and I've been very interested in ethnic and Middle Eastern and Far Eastern modes of music,
Yeah.
and tried to incorporate that in some of my music. And it's interesting when you start blending indigenous music with Western industrial rock.
It really is. do you know Soraya?
Not familiar.
Not familiar. Just one you should check out. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
incredible,
definitely will.
incredible. One of those very things. Sort of a. Uh, anyway,
From Canada?
what is? I'm sorry.
I said, is Soraya from Canada?
Yes. Wait.
And the
Yes.
guys doing all the
Yes.
hand percussion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Enrique. Enrique. Um,
cool.
so, what's the most important thing? One of the most important things that you learned from Tim?
Um, God, there's so much. I mean, he would take me through the, these exercises in a book called Pada, and
Called what?
it's P P as in Paul, ATA,
Hmm.
Para. Okay.
and it's it kind of reads like a music PhD dissertation.
Yeah.
But this guy just had he breaks up the pattern studies in starting at as a you know a minor first and all the way through to various positions in chord structure.
Oh wow.
So that he would Tim would drill me on that for 30 to 45 minutes and push me into patterns that I hadn't studied prior to the session. So he pushed me into sight reading this stuff.
Oh wow.
And the work ethic that that created, I think, was one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And
Well, constantly outside your comfort zone. Yeah.
yeah, pushing yourself and
Yeah.
or get a teacher to push you
Yeah.
outside of your comfort zone. He also kind of taught like the Karate Kid, Miyagi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right
I'm
on.
doing all these exercises that develop the embouchure, and it's all geared to being able to easily play the extended range on the saxophone
Oh
called
wow.
altissimo. And I never really uh, um, honed the altissimo skill into being able to get melodic,
Yeah.
up in that extended range. And I mean, I've hit high notes all my life, and I can control them quite
Yeah.
well because of all the foundational work that Tim had me
Yeah.
go through.
That's
And
brilliant.
then after he passed, it's probably about 6 months ago. I just to check some guy out that I felt like he knew more than I did, or I might be able to learn from him.
Yeah.
So we did a Zoom uh, lesson, and I told one of the things I wanted to work on was altissimo. We saved that for last, so we had
Yeah.
about 10 minutes to run through the fingerings. And this guy had me playing, within 10 minutes, had me playing chromatically from the high F sharp on the horn, which is the last uh, physically designed note into the
Oh
horn,
wow.
to a whole octave above that.
Oh wow.
So the lesson there is keep doing the foundational
Yeah.
and exercises and constantly go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, even though you may be able to, pull off a hot solo and a gig or be in a band,
Yeah.
without constantly returning to the basics, you end up stagnating,
Yeah.
you know? So, and every time I go through like a sheet with all the minor blues scales and all 12 keys.
Yeah.
Um, it challenges, the fingering and the way you present, the tone.
Yeah.
And even though I used to do it when I was a kid, as an adult, you have a whole different perspective
Yeah.
on working that that sort of angle to keep your toolbox, well filled.
Yeah.
And
Oh
that
my
keeps
God, that's
your solos or your compositions fresh,
oh,
because
there's nothing better than that.
you don't get locked into the patterns
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Oh.
answered your question.
No, that's fucking great, man. I know I stopped doing visual art for a long time and I just started again recently and yeah, the perspective change it's
It's
phenomenal.
all, yeah,
It's I always wanted to be more of a surrealist, but I was more neo-impressionistic in style and technique and then taking a long step away and coming back, I real oh well, there it is. There it is. Okay. And it feels pretty good. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, cool.
Roger, can you please tell us what a music for movement is?
Um, Music for movement is finally starting to get off the ground.
Mhm.
It's an entity that I created to use music as a means to further research in Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
So, back to the story of Tim Price, uh, like late 1990s, early 2000s, I started losing my ability to play. My fine motor control in my left hand was slowing down, and eventually, by about 2007, I couldn't play.
Oh wow.
And that set me on a journey to, figure out what the cause was. And
Yeah.
long story short, in 2010, the spring of 2010, I got diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. And, this time of day, I get a little bit of a dyskinesia. So you might see my
Yeah.
head move around a little bit like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And that's a reaction to the medication itself. Is
Oh
really
wow.
not part of Parkinson's. So, um, so in the spring of 2010, I got the diagnosis, and it took until like August or September of 2010 to get the first medication protocol up to a level that got me functional or fully functional.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I should have written down the date, but it was uh, the night before we made the medication change. I picked up my horn, tried to play just to kind of get a bass line,
Yeah.
and it was a struggle.
Yeah.
The next morning, after the first dose kicked in, I felt loose, and I hadn't felt that feeling in quite a while. So
Oh
I picked
wow.
up my horn and I ripped off the scale, the C scale, from the bottom register of the horn all the way through the top at speed.
Nice.
And then I fell to my knees, in tears. So I called up Tim and said, "We're on." And we got back to work, and he had upgraded to Skype calls at that point.
Yeah.
So I got back to work with him, and fast forward 6 years, I had headlined House of Blues with Pigface. So
Incredible.
yeah, it's
Incredible, man.
I still can't believe it.
Right on. Now, can you tell us how people can get involved?
Right now, I'm planning to. Um, People can get involved by. Well, I'll just tell you what I'm planning to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's set up as a single member LLC, so it's not a nonprofit. It's a for-profit company, and it'll be operated as a benefit corporation, which means the charter of the company says that a significant percentage of the profit that the company makes needs to be reinvested into the community.
Right on.
So, that way I avoid all the hassles of maintaining a nonprofit status.
Yeah.
And there's a third party uh, company that's a nonprofit company called um, uh, Benefit Corp.
Mhm.
BenefitCorp.com, I think is where you can find it.
Okay.
They will actually certify your company as that your office. So they come in and audit you, and
Yeah.
there's criteria, and you meet all the criteria. You're certified as a benefit corporation. So I'm working on getting that together. So uh, the initial idea was to have concerts, but putting on a show big enough to make any significant donation
Yeah.
is a lot of work for one guy.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of following Jim Simonic's model for the electronic saviors.
Hmm.
I'm going to license uh, songs from various people that want to get involved with this, and then we'll put out a compilation CD, and the proceeds from that, once everything is recouped, we're
Yeah.
going to be able to make a donation. And the first donation I want to make is the research that's going on here in Chicago at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. And that's where I've been treated, for almost 12 years now. And they've done a real good job, and they've got some very promising research going on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Well, definitely keep us posted on that because we will certainly be helping to promote it.
Yeah, definitely.
awesome. Appreciate
Please.
it.
So it was your foundation that eventually got you involved, Martin Atkins?
Well, that's an interesting story.
Hear it.
Uh, I, my wife and I were living in downtown Chicago, and this is like 2015, I just finished up my first solo record, getting it mastered by a wonderful engineer here in Chicago by the name of Blaze Barton, who, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He was pretty big in the blues, and he's got a Grammy, and the studio's got a Grammy for
Okay.
some of the work
Nice.
he's done, for like Pine Top Perkins record. So,
Okay.
and he's got the last physical recording of Johnny Winter. Like Johnny Winter was in his studio like
Oh,
a day
wow.
or two before he passed away. So,
Man.
so Blaze has got a great ear. So we finished up the mastering, and he said, Roger, what are you going to do with this? And I said, well, I'm probably just going to give it away to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you should go read Tour Smart by this guy by the name of Martin Atkins. So I
There you
did.
go.
I got the book, and I'm reading through it, and I go, holy fuck, this guy's in Chicago. And and I didn't know anything about industrial rock, or at the time which was kind of serendipitous. I was doing gigs with local house DJs.
Yeah.
So, some of those parties were pretty good size,
Yeah.
like 1,500 people.
Yeah.
And I was working through that side of things. And then this discovery of Martin Atkins, I found out that, and I went out and checked him out, and he had some ridiculous videos, and I appreciated his uh, extreme expertise in the various uses of the word fuck. So,
Yeah.
so I'm I'm checking him out, and he's giving these seminars. This is back when he was teaching at SAE downtown.
Yeah.
And I found out that he was giving a seminar open to the public at SAE, and like the next evening, and I wanted to give him my elevator 5 minute elevator speech on
Mhm.
music for movement, just to see if I could tap his brain. And I didn't have a business card yet, so and I was sure he was going to ask me for one,
Yeah.
and so it was late. I couldn't go to anywhere to really make one, so I got the idea. I went down to the CVS store. It's a drugstore here in the
Yeah.
area
Mhm.
that was in our building, and I bought a package of 3x5 note cards. And then I took a pencil and I started writing some ridiculous stuff on the card. You know, it said the fucking name of my business is going here. I don't know where the fuck I'm going to do that. Here's my fucking address. I used the word as much as I possibly could. And it
Oh
had
my
my contact information on it. So I purposely wore a shirt that had a pocket. And I folded the card in half and put it in my pocket. Went to the seminar. It was a brilliant seminar, only Martin Atkins can do.
yeah.
And I hung around after the seminar and I gave him my elevator speech. And he said, "Well, do you have a card?" And I said, "Yeah." No, I said no. I was waiting for this moment. He asked me for the business card, and I kind of hung my head and said, "No, man, I don't have a business card.
Yeah.
I'm just getting started." And the look on his face, he looked at me like, "You fucking idiot." And just like his face fell. He was all jazzed up. This might be something, and he went,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you just lost the sale." And I let it hang like that for what seemed like eternity. It was probably only a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I said, "However, I have a prototype of my business card, and you may have it." And so
Oh hell
he
yeah.
opens up the card and sees all the shit that I wrote on it, and his frown turned into a smile, and he said, "Are you able to stick around for a bit? I got to talk to all these other people, and I'd like to talk to you more." And that was the beginning of our
That's fucking
relationship.
brilliant, man. That's
Yeah.
fucking brilliant. Man, that takes DIY to a whole new level.
Yeah,
That's
man.
fucking awesome, man. Oh man. So
I love that story, and it's a true
It's
story.
incredible.
it's an incredible story. And now you're in my record rack from from the 2019 pig face.
2019, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
you're
fun
my
too.
record. Wait, that's also on Blu-ray, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, I've got that too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, wild man. That's so awesome. Martin is a good guy. He's a
Yeah,
really, really
I love
class
Martin
act.
very much.
Yeah, yeah,
He's very sensitive, and to people that uh, he lets in.
yeah,
Your family, you know.
yeah.
So he's done a lot for the scene, and I hope some form of pig face will emerge again.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I don't need that. I said, "Man, I don't care where it is, when it is, I'm in." He goes, "That's right, Roger." He's so
Now,
special.
did you get to do this do some shows with Levi then with Pigface?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
2016, the show in 2016 for the
Oh.
25-year anniversary. I was actually on Levi duty.
What's Levi
Yeah,
do?
you want to walk us through that a little bit?
That's a new one.
So I became Chicago's finest taxi service with Charles Levi as the exclusive client. I'm still waiting for him to pay me, but
Oh my God. And that tip's gonna have to be a big one now too.
yeah, we got to know each other pretty well, by doing that. And, I was relentless. And there were times where he was having trouble, with that insect bite.
Yeah, yeah,
And, he was trying to get himself vertical so he could, go to the rehearsals. And
yeah.
it was my job to make sure that he got there.
Oh, well, you did a
And
damn good job with that.
yeah, we ended up becoming good friends because you're in the car, you have conversation,
Yeah,
and you know it. I met him the first time in one of the uh, early rehearsals, and I think it was actually a rehearsal to check out whether or not I was going to be able to pull off playing saxophone for Pigface.
oh wow.
Looking back, because
Yeah,
I was, Martin was in there, and the other aspect of those rehearsals uh, was to get all the samples uh, set up because all Pigface songs have all these
yeah.
original samples,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
to get them into a format where they're going out at the same volume and to have them all organized by the song took that was one of the other aspects of the rehearsals.
Yeah.
And I remember the first one I went to, that's where I met Charles, and he gave me his business card at the end of the rehearsal, which was kind of, ships crossing in the night. But yeah, I was very impressed by his bass playing, and we just connected. It's one of those things that happened as soon as we met. So we've
Yeah,
been friends ever since.
yeah. Yeah, he's a special kind of guy, man.
Yeah, he certainly is.
So do you have any fun stories
Regarding,
or regarding just you and Levi doing weird things?
um, well, I never really went on a formal tour with Big Face because it's one more mouth to feed on the bus,
Yeah.
and saxophonist traveling with a rock band. Yeah, so but I hit up um, Kansas City on the 2019 tour. I played in Kansas City. My family
Yeah.
is there, and Levi played that show. Um, I'm trying to think of you know for for the most part, the time that I got into Pigface around that 2016, everybody was much older than what they were when they had last toured.
Right, right.
So, the green room was very calm, you
Oh,
during all of
that's
that.
yeah, that's a
And
fun thing to think of, man.
yeah, yeah, it was probably uncharacteristically calm
Yeah,
because, you know, so there were some good experiences, um, with Frankie. Um,
yeah,
we, there's I basically did a duet with him, myself playing the wind synthesizer, playing kind of Middle Eastern reed sort of sound
Mhm.
yeah,
on my wind synthesizer, and you know, playing Closer to Heaven, backing up Frankie was certainly a highlight. And the friendships that have developed over the years with all the members of Pigface have been rock solid. So, I mean, it's just like a family. The funny thing about Frankie, we were at House of Blues, and I don't know if you guys have ever been backstage at House of Blues in Chicago.
It's a F.
Um,
yeah.
it's kind of a labyrinth.
Yeah.
And there are 3 or 4 levels, and there's a freight elevator that you need to get on to get up to the green room on the top floor. And we were we had the opening going for Closer to Heaven, and I got word we can't find Frankie.
Oh
And
no.
basically, he got lost in the labyrinth.
Oh no.
He had a hard time finding the stage, and so it felt like, um, excuse me, it felt like forever. It was probably only a couple minutes. Um, I continued to improvise Closer to Heaven, like keep it going until Frankie shows up. And, you know, so someone said, we can't find Frankie, just keep it going. So,
Oh man.
they eventually found him and he came out and um, he gave me a nod, for taking that kind of lead melodic part for as long as I did.
Yeah.
It's like one of those telltales. He looks over at you and just nods his head.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like, good, good kid, you did your job. But yeah, so that was cool. And then just, I know this is about Frankie, but meeting Frankie ended up resulting working with him on the latest Darling Candy release.
Yeah.
We got to do that project. So the song I'm on that one is Cynthia's Garden,
Okay.
and that really, uh, I had a direction that I was going on with that song, and then Frankie's sister passed away,
Hmm.
and her name was Cynthia. And I put two and two together and went, oh my God.
Oh wow.
I'm working on a song that he was writing for his
Oh wow.
sister. And it's like, I need a little more time, just to make sure I'm comfortable with whatever I put out there on that.
Yeah.
And it ended up turning out really well.
That's
So,
beautiful, man.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't have any stories of debauchery or wild parties backstage. Um, there were a couple times where waiting on Levi was what took up a long time. I think I was out front one time with him for about at least an hour and a half,
Yeah.
waiting for him to come down. But that was back when he was having trouble, with the infection that was in his
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah.
So I learned that, um, well, to sum it up, there are 3 rules basically. Because Martin Atkins kind of reached down through the glass um, ceiling
Yeah.
to get and play with people at the level of pig face, and pulled me by the scruff of the neck into the room and said, "You're on your own, kid." And um, this is all figuratively.
Yeah.
And he, one of the things that I learned, there are 3 rules to really stay in the room and to be able to work with people of this caliber. Number 1 is don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for certain people, which often puzzles me. But you know,
You're not
that's their
alone.
choice.
Yeah.
So next one is be helpful, and
Yeah.
then to sum it up, you can not be an asshole, be helpful, and produce excellent results. You're going to stay in the room; other doors are going to open, and all the hard work that you put in that got you to that point, you have another layer and level of hard work to put in to get to the next point
Yeah.
after that. So, you know, there nobody in Pigface has the opinion that they've arrived.
Yeah.
Everybody is that I've met and worked with, they're they're passionate about their music and they throw everything they have into it. And so, I mean, that's one of the things about working with Christoph Liggio that I really enjoyed,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yeah. We're gonna get to Christoph in just a moment.
okay.
In regards
Sounds
to your
good.
contributions to a project, you've been quoted as saying, if I'm listening to the song, I've got to be able to hear how I can add saxophone or whatever I do in a way that's going to enhance that song. It's
Right.
kind of a gut feeling, not really a measurable criterion. The most important thing with determining whether or not I'm going to be able to get or start out with being comfortable with working on a particular piece of music is the rhythm. If it grabs me, I'm in immediately. I don't even think about it.
Right.
And with that, Pearl Drop Blue by Dog Tablet saw you working with Martin King of Test Department on some tracks. What was it that pulled you in? Can you tell us what you heard that affected your gut?
For Martin King, um, uh, we met again at that in Chicago when he came to play the 25 year, and we
Yeah,
became good acquaintances at that point. Because
yeah,
it just wasn't time. You're there for 3 days and then you're gone. Um, so I actually got had just received after that show the Pig Face distortion pedal, and
oh,
it's one of the pedals that actually works with the saxophone with
oh,
horns.
that's cool.
I don't know why. It's just the way it's put together. So I did a little demo of that on Facebook and posted a little video, and
Oh,
the response from Martin King was, "I think we need to work together." So we'd
that's a
been
great response.
yeah. So
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Don't be an asshole. Be helpful and produce excellent results. So cool.
There you go, man.
so, working with Martin was just lovely, and
Yeah,
we had a great time. And so he sent me the song, and I did my thing over it.
yeah.
And Bobby, if I recall, uh, and he said this later that he doesn't like saxophone. He thinks rock was overrun by smooth jazz saxophone in the 80s and even into the 90s.
Did he have a
Don't
little
disagree.
problem with the big muscle bound guy with the chains?
Yeah, actually, there's that
That
guy,
guy was
the
awesome.
Tim Cabela, as a
Yeah, yeah,
player,
yeah. He's freaking
that guy
incredible.
is badass.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah,
as a showman, he's also badass.
he
You know,
fucking incredible, man.
if I had a
Absolutely.
body like that, I'd walk around with
Yeah,
that. But
it looked like the saxophone chain he was wearing was heavier than the sax.
yeah, yeah, he's really good. And there was a story about his song "I Still Believe."
Yeah,
Um, I, we can talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
Um, so working with Martin King, initially Bobby didn't like the sax, so I thought, well, that's that. And they ended up putting out. We're getting ready to put out the record, and Martin slipped in the copy of whatever song I was playing on. I think it was Dust Bowl was the name of the first one.
okay,
Mike Reedy is also doing vocals on that.
yeah,
So I Bobby actually changed his mind. I think when he actually heard what I did because it doesn't sound like your traditional saxophone
yeah, yeah,
because I'm going through all the pedal effects.
Yeah.
And once he realized that, he was very cool with it, and it got onto the record. And then that led to another one. I think Pearl Drop Blue was the next one
Mhm.
out of that.
Yeah.
And we just did a year in the making trying to get Mike Reedy and Dirk Flanagan in the studio in Chicago at the same time.
Yeah.
Was a chore,
Yeah.
and I was relentless to make it happen. And we finally pulled that off. And last October, I think that release came out. That was the summertime release.
Yeah.
And there may be one more in there somewhere that I'm forgetting. But I love Dog Tablet. And one of the Martin is a
Some,
percussionist.
yeah.
So that gets back to the rhythm. The rhythms that he puts into that music, um, you you can't help but move.
Yeah. No,
So
I was listening to Pearl Drop Blue last night, and it's a fucking phenomenal album. You guys did a
yeah,
really great job on that. Yeah.
the latest one is on their latest album, Diamonds.
Diamonds. I'll be
There's a
checking
couple
that out
songs.
later.
It's the opening track on their Space Dust and what? It's a long title. Space Dust and Memories or something like that.
Okay.
Uh, um, on that record, um, I'm actually on the opening track, which is pretty cool. It's a song called Diamonds.
Nice. Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, check that one out.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I played soprano sax on that, and it just came out. We were in the studio, and I was about 6 weeks out of shoulder surgery,
Oh, wow.
and played. Probably shouldn't have, but
This shoulder's all scarred up on me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they wear out.
They do.
So where was I?
You just had get out of shoulder surgery,
Yeah, just gotten out of
6 weeks.
shoulder surgery,
Yeah.
and it was a year ago in late June, early July. We got the session together, Mike Reedy and Dirk Flanagan, to be able to sing the summertime song, which is a cover of a show tune that George Gershwin wrote
Yeah.
for Porgy and Bess. That Broadway show
Yeah.
utilized that song, and it's been a jazz blues standard,
Mhm.
for years.
Yeah.
So we did the industrial version,
Yeah.
and so if you get a chance to listen to that, there's some cool stuff. The vocals
Absolutely.
between Mike and Reedy, I mean between Mike Reedy and Dirk are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
You can right on.
Well, you have a close relationship with Christoph Bile. The 2021 release of Sharks and COVID Volume 1 and 2022 brought us Pot Farmer Volume 2, which are two stellar releases. Are you able to articulate what it is about the relationship that keeps you guys engaged?
Uh, well, I think I said in one of my bios, Christoph, sorry, I got a dry throat.
You're good, man.
All right.
Christoph uh, has this persona that he's created around Bile.
Yeah.
And it's very New York, in its origins. You're in Brooklyn, uh, people are constantly busting each other's balls, I guess is the best way to put it,
Yeah.
giving each other shit. And it's a test. Culturally, it's really a test because if someone's going to stand up to that and dish it right back, they're okay. This guy's cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and that's how we initially got to know each other. Again, we met in 2016,
Yeah.
and all these wonderful doors opened up. So we ended up having phone conversations, talking about different ideas for projects, and it led to me going to New York um, several times before the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
and doing recording sessions, like at 2 in the morning, uh, all kinds of odd hours. I mean, I got there and every time I went outside, it was dark. So,
Yeah.
so, so we were working pretty hard and late into the evening, early mornings. And, working with him is very demanding. We'd be working on a part where his music is very um, click oriented,
Hmm.
and there's not a click running through it, but everything is on the grid. So
Yeah.
if you're playing an acoustic instrument, you got to be on that time.
Yeah.
So and we were doing take after take after take, and he would do a take and say do it again, do another take, do it again.
Wow.
The work ethic to do that over and over again is invaluable.
Yeah.
And you know, over the years, we've developed a honest respect for each other, and I think that's one of the things that has allowed our friendship to develop over the time. And then when the pandemic hit, Christoph was living in a basement apartment in a not so nice area of Brooklyn, and he got sheltered in place in that apartment. Basically, they didn't get out to see the light of day for a couple of years.
Wow.
You know, and that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So um, he and I would be on had phone conversations and worked on the songs for Pot Farmer and Sharks and COVID,
Yeah.
and you know, and I probably talked to him 4 times a week, and maybe even more some weeks.
Yeah.
So, and I was concerned, because of his situation. He had to order everything in,
Yeah.
and with all the social unrest that went along with that, 6'2", overly faired uh, redhead
Yeah.
kind of stands out like a pretty good target, in
Yeah.
that part of New York City.
Yeah.
So he just laid low and got through it. Um, he got more focused on doing the music, and a lot of the bad habits of his youth uh, completely did a 180 and disappeared.
Yeah.
So he's putting out um, continuing to put out new music,
Yeah.
and this is a bit of a surprise. This is the first uh, interview that I've had where I'm going to announce my solo project.
Nice.
Okay. Excellent.
So, and Christoph and I co-produced it. It's the moniker for the band name is Ebner, and I'll be putting up some banners with the artwork. We changed, we kind of got the name is the logo, and it's EBNR. The E is reversed on the front, and the
Okay.
E in the middle is taken out, and it just gives it symmetry,
Yeah.
and looks cool. So the name of the project is Splinters and Broken Glass, Volume 1,
Oh, wow.
and it's coming out electronically. Well, I'm going into my last mastering, hopefully final mastering on October 9th. So
Oh,
next Monday,
congratulations, man. That's freaking awesome. I
and
can't
then
wait to hear this.
we'll get it out. I've been keeping it real quiet.
Yeah.
So I was
Woo.
hoping
11
Charles,
exclusive, man. Thank you.
yeah, I was hoping Charles would be here.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man. He's gonna be so happy.
yeah,
So,
so it's 6 songs, and
yeah,
my first record that I put out is very orchestral, kind of soundtracky and
yeah,
dreamy, and this one's got a little bit harder edge to it, as you can imagine.
yeah,
Christoph did the
yeah,
bulk of the mixing, and he came up with production suggestions, and I was the final sign off on those. And he just did an amazing job adding the things that make the songs sound full. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Little
yeah,
atmospheric things in the background that you probably won't hear on the first listen.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it kind
Yeah,
of
I
sort
love
of
it when I
gives you
can get in
that.
and deep dive. Yeah, that's freaking cool. I saw I think it was in your bio where Christoph for the Pop Farmer release, he had you listening to Raphael Ravencroft's the playing on the Gunner's Dream from
Yeah,
Final
Gunner's
Cut by
Dream.
Pink Floyd. It's an album that's been on my turntable many, many, many times. It's a
Awesome.
great,
Yeah.
great track. And he was having you listen to that over and over for inspiration for the track Sugar, Where We're Going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is one of the best solos that I've done.
it
I
is
didn't really,
absolutely phenomenal. It
well,
is
thanks.
absolutely incredible. I listened to him back to back, the Gunner's Dream and Sugar Where We're Going. I listened to him back to back several times and
Yeah.
damn,
Yeah.
damn.
Christoph is a wonderful pop song writer, and he
Yeah,
writes pop songs in the format of Bile, which is very
yeah,
abrasive. So I guess you
yeah.
say he writes abrasive pop songs.
Yeah,
But
I came into Bile a little late in the game,
yeah,
but he quickly became one of my favorite vocalists.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
and I love that he's using stuff like that. Okay, I mean, grab this song from over here to kind of to give you a feeling, and it's powerful and it's intense, and the sax on that track is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
thanks, man.
What are some other methods of inspiration you've used in your recording? I mean, has there been anybody else like that that has kind of a, hey,
Christoph is kind of a walking encyclopedia, and he has a lot of musical interests that don't really necessarily align with the style of
yeah,
Bile.
yeah, I know
But
that feeling.
yeah, so I mean, he likes to listen to Ripple by the Grateful Dead,
Oh, nice.
and then
Yeah,
I've growing up, I've been a fan of the Grateful Dead and that jam sort of thing for
yeah,
years. So we have a lot of that in common, even though we're making this caustic, abrasive, heavy pop songs. So
yeah,
and other forms of inspiration. Uh, I might hear a beat on from another artist, and it'll morph into an idea
mm,
for laying down a beat, and then either that song will progress or get put on the shelf for a while, and or we
yeah,
go into a direction, hit a dead wall, and then pull it back to where it was, and
yeah,
put it on the shelf for a while because something else pops in,
yeah,
and those are the ones that end up becoming really fun because they've taken a long time to marinate.
yeah,
And sometimes, like the original version of some of the songs on my record go back 5, 6 years,
yeah,
in development, mainly because of the pandemic.
yeah,
And they're a little more compressed now that we don't have to deal with the pandemic, but there's always something.
yeah.
so,
No, right?
so um, seeing social situations, sometimes, that can be an inspiration.
Yeah.
Social injustice, can do it.
Yeah.
Um, excellence in any field, I find inspirational.
That's beautiful. I
So
like that.
I tear up at excellence. Whether it be sports
Yeah.
or music or art, you know, and when it's at the peak of excellence,
Yeah.
because it gives you that feeling, and my response to that feeling is a couple of tears and maybe an
Yeah.
idea for a song.
Yeah. Kate Bush brings that out in me sometimes.
Yeah, St. Vincent
You know,
was,
that
Oh
little
man.
hair up
Yeah.
on the back of your neck and some tears. Yeah.
yeah,
I still can't listen to this woman's work without just breaking down. It's,
yeah, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. As a
yeah.
matter of fact, you're listening to something that is
Yeah.
coming from that person's soul.
I get that from listening to Yo-Yo Ma too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
just straight up hair on the back of my neck, standing up, tears running down my face. Yeah.
yeah. He taps.
One
He
of the few
definitely taps
instruments
into
that
it.
has done that to me is the cello.
Hmm.
It's, I don't know, maybe it's the resonance. But yeah, it just when you can feel somebody pouring their heart and soul into it, it is. It's a different. It's on a different level.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I
Yeah.
hope I try to do that in the music that I write and solo over. Um, it's about generating uh, tension and release and
Hmm.
excitement and sorrow. So playing around with those those different types of emotions is interesting stuff,
Yeah.
and it can drain you at the same time because
Yeah.
you're getting connected at a very deep, soulful level,
Yeah.
and not many people like to talk about that or go there because you end up becoming vulnerable.
Yeah. No, it
You
is.
got to be
There's a lot of
comfortable with that.
vulnerability to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I prefer that. I.
yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah.
I think there's beauty in vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
absolutely.
You released the single Blue and Yellow with the Roger Ebner Band on the 1 year anniversary of the war in the Ukraine to raise funds for a charity as a humanitarian effort. Why was this an important endeavor for you?
Well, I felt the mournful
Hmm.
about what was going on with the war, and unfortunately, um, I was terrible at promoting that.
Mm.
So it really didn't make a significant amount of money at all, which is a shame. But
It's a
I
beautiful
think I
song.
think, I think it was more important to have an expression of music that taps into the mournfulness of what was going on over there in Ukraine, and that's more um, moving in my mind than selling a bunch of the songs and scraping all the pennies together and giving them to a particular charity. I mean, I've donated personally to some efforts, as I can, but doing one single from a business perspective that really didn't work.
Yeah.
So that song has gone through a number of different uh, morphs. It started out with the title as a father, and that was um, the melancholy of watching my dad fight cancer for
Oh,
12 years.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry,
And
dude.
well, it's okay. You get to the point where you know it it doesn't get any easier. A
Nope.
very wise friend told me this. He said, it doesn't get any easier, but it does become sweeter.
Yeah.
So, um, and that's those types of emotions. Um, I anything mournful or sad that's going to draw a tear from someone else, that's much harder
Hmm.
to get that emotion in. I mean, again, you get back to vulnerability
Yeah.
and all that. But yeah, that song, I couldn't let it lie as a single. It's going to be re-released as
Oh, good.
part of the Splinters of Broken Glass.
Okay. I am
And
very much looking forward to that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a beautiful track. It really is.
thanks.
And
Can,
anybody out
can
there,
you
if you
guys?
haven't heard it, you can find that on Bandcamp. Go
Yeah,
spend some
yeah,
money.
it's out on
Yeah.
Bandcamp right now. When
Yeah.
I put the new album up, I'll probably leave the single out there
Yeah.
as it is. I love the artwork. Greg
Yeah.
Rolfus
No, it's beautiful. It's
did
absolutely
the
beautiful.
artwork on that. So I'll
Hey,
definitely leave that out there, but it'll be duplicated on the Splinters
right on.
record.
Can you give us some background on the modern soul flow movement?
Ah, that soul flow, it was a term that was created by Chris Wozniak.
Hmm.
Chris used to be one of the key guys in H Gun Video.
Hmm.
Did a lot. He shot MTV.
Yeah.
A lot of his videos ended up on like 120 minutes on
Right.
MTV.
Right. Yeah.
So Chris and I met, I think, in 2017, and we decided to collaborate together. Just like Chicago, you meet somebody new, need a musician. You're
Yeah.
pretty cool. You want to make a record? so so he felt that the whole idea of Soulflow was basically coming out of Chris, and um, Chris had his issues, just a gem of a human being, but he ended up passing away 2 years ago
Oh man.
uh, due to overdose.
Oh.
He did some type of drug that was laced with fentanyl, and the fentanyl killed him.
Yeah.
So, but that aside, there were three people that created this, were working together on creating this collective called Aranova Rhythm Collective.
Yeah.
And that's Bessie Mink, myself, and Chris Wozniak.
Yeah.
Chris was prolific for the 2 years. He wrote probably 30 or 40 songs. And the best ones, I believe, are still out on the Arc or Aranova Rhythm Collective Bandcamp page.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Art Nova Rhythm Collective, ARC,
yeah,
have a Bandcamp page, and yeah, and there's some
yeah,
great freaking stuff on there. Go check it out.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So the Soul Flow, Chris had this vision, with all the unrest and everything going on with the pandemic, and we're starting to come out of it, and the world is on fire, politically and aggressively.
Yeah.
So he felt, and I still agree with him, that people want something that's going to give them an escape where they can relax
Hmm.
and where they can uh, get together and have a similar emotional experience
Yeah.
at a concert. So he had this idea of music that would kind of ebb and flow nonstop, and go into the songs, go out of them, and back into another song. So kind of similar to a jam band format.
Yeah.
And but it was all uplifting, very simple lyrics, so people could get involved
Yeah.
with singing the songs, and you know, kind of a, yet his idea was kind of almost a hippie revival,
Yeah.
where people are trying to get back to something, to recognizing things that are beautiful rather than focusing on
Yeah.
differences, or you know focusing on hate,
Yeah.
for example, which is still very prevalent. People
Hmm.
are exhausted from it, so he figured there's a gap that could possibly be filled with this soulful music. So the term, after kicking around, became soulful.
That's beautiful.
So
I love the enduring nature of the human spirit. I mean, because
yeah,
you know, every time the world has been on fire, there's been artists and people with hearts and the hippies that just, you know, let's have something to counteract it. And that's what keeps giving me hope to
yeah,
keep moving
yeah. I think
forward.
most people would prefer to perceive love than hate,
Yeah, you know,
and
I
the
mean,
hate
with the
becomes
social
more.
media, we've got so much doom scrolling now with everything, and it's so easy to get really bogged down in the negativity of everything going on.
Yeah, yeah, it
It's
totally
nice
is.
to know that there's light out there, and
There is.
thank you for being part of that, man.
Yeah, thank you guys for being part of it as well.
Thank you.
So,
Do
Yeah,
you have a dream artist you'd love to work with?
uh,
Be living or dead? Anyone?
yeah,
Miles Davis,
Oh, wow.
man, yeah.
yeah, I'd love to be under his tutorial.
Oh my
His whole
God.
catalog
Wow.
is a tutorial,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you know.
that's
So, and
listening to his records is like going to college, man. It's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
kind of. My favorite one is also the biggest selling, kind of blue, and that's what that book is up there.
Mhm.
It's got the full transcription for the piano, uh, the uh, Cannonball Adderley alto sax, John Coltrane playing tenor,
Wow.
and I forget um, who's playing piano on that. Is Miles had several different piano players, so and he's got a bass player playing with that as well. So that quartet and that record is a lifelong study.
Wow.
So, and it's applicable to any kind of music. You
Yeah.
know, it's it's the introduction of modal jazz, which you can play modally over pretty much any kind of music.
Yeah.
So, and
How do you
yeah,
feel about Thelonious Monk?
what's that?
How do you feel about Thelonious Monk?
He's another cat that I love. Count Basie, another one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I saw my grandmother bought me tickets to go see Count Basie. Actually, took me to see him at a show in Kansas City when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
So, and I'll never forget. He had a looking back, I know where he got most of his people. They go from a lot of people that were in North Texas State University in the 1 o'clock jazz band would get picked up by Count Basie as part of
Yeah.
their orchestra or other people at that level.
Yeah.
So he's giving these young kids um, an opportunity to solo. And so he went through the whole song, and all these hot players soloed, and they were all excellent.
Yeah.
And what brought the house down were the last three notes that Count Basie played on the piano in rhythm. Dink, dink, dink. That was his solo. And he got a standing ovation. I'll never,
Oh, that's freaking
that
awesome.
taught me the power of minimalism.
Yeah, right?
And,
Oh my God.
and he had not only the rhythm and the timing to do that, he had the charisma to pull that off.
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
that was a major turning point for me of influences.
Yeah,
Yeah, how's this guy bring the house down with three notes? I want to do
yeah,
that with the saxophone.
yeah,
Haven't done it yet.
yeah. No, that's incredible. You know, another innovative, really innovative artist is Warren Ellis from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and the
Oh
Dirty
yeah,
30. And
yeah. He's the
I,
violin player, sax player.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that guy's.
And
I love
seeing
that
him
guy.
on what was the Dig Lazarus Dig tour, he's sitting down on the floor and just I mean, I'm like, wow, oh my God, this guy is freaking brilliant. He doesn't, just
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. He's just in his own world, doing his own thing, and every bit of it is absolutely amazing.
yeah, it is. It is. He's a joy to watch play and
Yeah,
scary in
yeah, a
some
little bit.
aspects.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I love the guy. I love the way he plays, and you know, guys, I put him in the same category as Albert Ayler.
yeah,
You know, just pushing it to the very edge of breaking.
yeah,
You know, when he plays, and
yeah,
guys like that gave me permission to do whatever I want on the saxophone.
yeah. No, I mean, it's unlocked the improvisational side.
Yeah,
I've some of the best work I've ever done has been just, sitting alone in a room, just,
yeah,
and it never occurred to me that that might have a place until I saw that show and
right.
saw him doing exactly that. Just and I was like, okay, well, there's some vindication there. I mean, I guess maybe we've all got a little bit of imposter syndrome, and
Yeah, just you gotta be true to how you feel.
I mean, because I'm not a musician. I'm an artist and I make noise, but I'm not technically trained on any of the stuff I mess with. I don't know theory or anything. I just get in and go. And
Right. Well, that doesn't mean you're not a musician.
well, yeah, I guess, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it just means you haven't studied theory, but
yeah,
it also means you have a hell of a good ear and you know what you like to play.
I do, yeah.
So, so yeah.
I I'd like to be better at it, but
Well, we
you
all,
know,
that's the way
right,
it never stops. I mean, when
yeah,
I was working on, what was I working on? Major scales in Lydian mode before I got on this call.
okay,
So, I mean, I'm digging in. All these things are tools that you can put into your toolkit to be able to
yeah,
express yourself musically. And going through patterns, and you know, you're not going to come out in the song and play a particular pattern that you studied,
yeah,
but when you're performing, that informs and kind of comes out, and it makes the playing more interesting.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No, for
but it's
sure.
just you know, step by step, day by day, put in the time to improve
Yeah,
your craft, whether that be just trying different things and or whether it be getting better at notation or reading notation.
yeah,
So you know, and there's an awful lot. There's so much in music to study and to learn from that it'll keep me occupied for the rest of my life. It's been
yeah,
keeping me occupied all my life.
yeah. No, that's
So,
it's you're doing it right if that's the case.
well, you just got to do it,
Yeah,
and you know if you don't do it, if you don't put the work behind it, you're not going to get to a point where you're able to share it with other people.
yeah,
So
for
you know,
sure.
so it's kind of this cycle that I go through. I'm either working on production, or I'm working on fundamentals, or I'm just free forming, trying new ideas, or I'm working on technique on the horn.
Yeah,
Uh, so they're all different aspects of what you have to do to get your own music out, and
yeah,
what you have to do to be prepared if a situation pops up and someone needs a horn player in 10 minutes.
yeah.
So, you know, it's a constant effort, and I
Um,
wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
that's that's awesome. That was great to hear. Hey, do you have any advice for younger people just getting their start in the music industry?
Uh, in the music industry, or just as musicians,
Either or,
either or.
both.
Um, well, Martin Ackes says, "Welcome to the music business. You're fucked."
Hmm.
So,
Yes, it does. Yeah,
so the key is, I think, to avoid a lot of that would be to actually, do you mind if we take a short break?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I gotta duck out for just a second. I'll be
Oh, you're
right back.
fine.
No worries. I'm going to take the opportunity to do that as well. I'll be right back.
No problem.
Take us along, Joey.
Gosh, what should I do?
There we go. A little bit of entertainment while we were waiting. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, no pressure on me, thanks.
We both left him sitting here.
Oh, right? They start pulling out records and showing them off.
So
Awesome.
where were we? Advice for young people.
Advice for the young ones, yeah.
Um, Practice as much as you can. And if you're young and still going to school, you know, get as much practice as you can and take it seriously. For musicianship skills, probably one of the best things I could advise young people to do is either play scales with a metronome or in your garage band or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
create your own beat, which is actually a complex metronome because everything is right on the grid.
Yeah.
Learn to play with that and learn how far you can go in and out of that without getting lost.
Okay.
So Charlie Parker says, when you're learning your instrument, practice, practice, practice. When you get up on the bandstand, forget about all that shit and let it wail.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
have to develop a foundation of good technique and just learning the fundamentals of your instrument and then building on top of that. So that would be my advice for the young people.
Excellent.
Perfect. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about or promote today, Roger?
Well, we talked about the new record coming out.
Yeah, when's it coming out? You
Uh,
think?
I should be able to release it electronically by the end of the month.
Oh, nice.
That's what I'm
Right
hoping
on.
for. Having hard copies, we'll see how the sales go. I'm going to do a Bandcamp listening session on it,
Right on.
and maybe do some pre-sales on the hard copy of the CD. But I'm still getting a couple things figured out. And we got a family reunion up in Victoria, British Columbia, on my wife's side, and
Okay.
I want to get it out prior to that because that's going to be the first week in November, and I want to make sure I get some promotion going on it, just letting people know that it's there. And
Well,
then when I get back, and we're going to be gone for like 4 or 5 days in the beginning of November.
right on.
So it may push it out to after we get back. It just depends. Because the goal is to get it in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah. Well, definitely send us links that we can share when
Definitely
that's
will.
ready. Definitely. Dan, this has been awesome, man.
Well, I
I
enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
very comfortable.
yeah.
Great
It's been
start.
an absolute pleasure speaking with you, man. I'm
Thank you so
blown
much.
away. We're gonna have to get back and go on a really deep dive on some of the projects you've been part of,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
of
that'd be
course
cool.
have Levi back so you guys can trade some more stories.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good if you were here next time. So I
Yeah,
hope he feels better soon to get
Yeah,
this under control.
yeah.
I know
No,
Danny's is all on top of his health,
yeah, no,
which
she
is
is.
really good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
Levi is a treasure,
yeah, for
definitely,
sure.
definitely, and one
Well,
of the
thank you so
nicest
much.
guys you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for giving your time. Everyone, you can find Roger Ebner on Bandcamp at rogerebner.com. Please check him out. Kiddos, we've reached the end of another episode. This is dedicated, as all the shows are, to the memory of our dear friend Jason Lupo, without whom this show would not have gotten off the ground. We also want to dedicate it to all of you watching, listening, supporting, and getting to know the artists we have on. Please take the time to be kind when you don't need to be, to care when someone gives you a reason not to, and to lift each other up and yourselves at every opportunity. This world is a pressure cooker, and we're all feeling it. There is good out there. We have to be the light shining on it sometimes. So don't be afraid to do that. Love,
Right on.
hugs, and belly rubs. Cheers, everyone.